The general understanding in the fitness community is that if you can't recover from a given stimulus or a given training session, there's basically no point you even doing the training session. But I've always kind of felt, not always, in recent times, ever since kind of getting exposed to the whole Bulgarian method and squat every day and all of that kind of high frequency stuff, I feel like that kind of perspective on fitness and on training is a two-dimensional view on things. And I don't think it's that simple. I don't think it's a case of you stimulate and then you recover and then you just keep on building upon that. There's many different other things involved, and I've spoken about this many different times. And the understanding, this belief of mine is what pushes me to train on days where I know I'm not going to get optimal recovery. So tonight I've got a night shift, a 12-hour night shift in emergency. So you can imagine there's going to be lack of sleep, lack of food, lots of stress. You know, the body's going to be like on fire in terms of the adrenal, the cortisol, like all these hormones that are regulating my own body. They're going to be all over the place, and it's not optimal. And that word comes up all the time, is this idea of optimal. And so the only time you train is when you have optimal conditions. Now, I've kind of argued this over kind of many videos and also in my private life. I've argued this many times over, is that what is optimal? In a state of biology, in this body that we have, what is optimal? You know, we are social creatures. There's many things impacting our biology, our psyche, our body on a daily basis. So how do you make an optimal situation other than you putting yourself in a freaking petri dish and living in there? And so this optimal thing that we like to speak about, it's really a gradient. It's really kind of like a threshold of things. And this threshold that we want to be in, and this optimal idea, it's not like a decimal point accuracy. It's more like a spectrum. It's basically that. It's a spectrum. And for each and every one of us, that's going to be different things. You know, some of us live lives where, I don't know, man, somebody else would never train in a life like that. Right? But what do you say to a guy like that does shift work all the time, has got many things in his private life going around, there's all sorts of things happening? Do you tell that guy, don't even train because there's no point, because you won't be able to recover? I don't think it's a two-dimensional approach like that. So I say to everyone, no matter what's going on in your life, move. So somebody like me that I know I'm going to, not sleep at all for a whole freaking night, I'm going to try and get maybe an hour or two nap if I can, before I head off, but even that's really poor quality. And so I know whatever I do in this training session is going to be sub-optimal recovery, but that's okay, because I believe this thing is a 3D and 4-dimensional puzzle. It's not just smash the thing, recover from the thing, smash it a bit harder next time, and just keep going on like in this linear progression on a graph. It's not like that. And there's many different things I can speak about. You know, one's the recovery of these avascular tissues in our body. Movement is good for them, okay? Movement is good for them. It's not just about muscle. There's ligaments, there's tendons. There's so many different things involved in human movement and therefore human performance, athletic performance. But this idea that strength is a skill is something that for me was a paramount discovery. It's something that completely changed the way I looked at things. When I read Pavel Tsatsouline write that in his book, Strength is a Skill, man, that was the seed that I planted and that kind of evolved into all of this high frequency training. That led me to believe that even a nurse working on night shifts and day shifts and all over the place can have benefit from movement, because I'm here to practice my skill. Just like playing a piano is a skill. Even practicing it for 5 minutes is better than not practicing it. It is this idea that you keep revisiting these neural anagrams, these neural pathways in our brain, continuously revisiting it as many times as we can, because we want the body to understand this is what we're trying to get good at. This is the movement we are trying to master. And that idea fuels me, frankly, to come in on days like this and do as much as I can. So today I came in and I was like, I'm going to play. I'm going to play. I know I can't do smashing metabolic stress onto my body, because I know that aspect is going to be very detrimental to me, because number one, I'll freaking struggle to get through the night shift. It's going to be very hard for me to struggle with when I have no legs underneath me. But two, I basically won't recover from it from a training perspective. And so, okay, I'm not going to work 5x5 or 180 like I usually would plan to do if I was on an annual leave type of scenario. So I came in, I just jumped straight into a leg press. Why? I don't know, because I'm playing. I like to discover different things and just muck around. So I jumped into this thing, and I've made a video probably a few months ago where I said one of the best ways to freaking stretch your squatting muscles is to just get into a leg press and let that thing pancake you. Like really just, turn your feet out and really let that glute, hamstring tie-in, the adductor tie-in really kind of get stretched. And so I did that and did a couple of sets of whatever, 60 kilos or 40 kilos. I don't know how much kilos it was. It was 2 plates, 20 aside. So I did that. It was no training. It was just purely a stretching thing. Then I went over to squats, and as you can see, my stance is much, much wider. Ever since I've kind of had another plate time the other day when I did the 4:30 session, I messed around then as well, and I did kind of wide stance. I was so shocked how weak and unsure I was of what muscles to fire. And so I went back to that. I think I am extremely weak in that position. That kind of wide stance exposes my hip flexors, that adductor complex. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe that I'm so weak at it. So I was doing sets of 5. I think I did 5 sets of 5 at 120, trying to really focus on pushing the knees out. So when I squat my normal stance, which is that narrow stance, I don't have any, it feels like, requirement on my abduction. So my abductors, my hip abductors, don't really have a lot of work to do because my stance is so narrow. So it's basically impossible for you to have knee valgus or that knee traveling inwards when you have such narrow stance. Your knees basically, just because of the positioning, want to push out. So my abductors not really work all that much when I'm in my normal stance. But you spread your legs out a little bit into a wider stance, all of a sudden these abductors, they jump on the map. All of a sudden you discover them. And basically that's what's most struggling to me when I'm doing these wide stance squats, because there's a component now to a squat that's not just up and down, it's like sideways. So my knees want to buckle in. And so pushing them out not only is very humbling because I don't have the muscles there to really do that, but my central nervous system was just, like I'm sitting here, I'm feeling tired because I was trying to fire, I was trying to activate things that are not even on the map. They're not in my country, man. They're like some faraway land that I don't even know the geography of. That's kind of how it felt, like pushing the knees out. It was just a weird sensation. So I think doing that, I think, is going to be beneficial for me. I think having stronger abductors is going to be better for me. And while I was doing these, I was feeling the TFL. Now, I don't want to say it's pain, but I was feeling it contract in a very strange way. It kind of felt good. You know when you have like a sore muscle and you kind of massage it and it kind of feels good? It hurts, but it feels good. That's the sensation I was feeling a few days ago when I was doing the 4:30 session before work, and also now when I was doing these wide stance squats. So I think that's something that I should kind of continue to do because it just engages you differently. So that was kind of the play mentality that I had today. So after that, I put on some more weight and I ended up doing some narrow stance squats at 160. Felt weaker, but felt lubricated. My hips were really alight because of the wide stance squat. So that's something I'm going to start kind of messing around with, especially on days like this where I can't, go balls to the wall, where I can't give everything I have because of these recovery components, because of these just freaking making it through a night shift components. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to do. This is kind of my mentality. You can still have some benefit from days where you don't have all of your resources with you. After that, I went over to the Glute Machine and I did a whole bunch of sets with that. I think I did 5 sets of 10 with that. And I added an extra plate this time. So before I was doing one plate aside for sets of 20. And that was just absolutely, to this day, I cannot believe the activation that I'm getting through these hip thrusts. They're different to barbell hip thrusts because there's no pain component of the bar. You know, so the bar right at the top of the rep kind of hurts because you're sticking your bone into it. I need to find a better positioning and a better pad to use, but it kind of forces you to go into anterior pelvic tilt at the top of the movement because you don't want to have that pain stimulus, right? So the whole idea of hip thrust is to have posterior pelvic tilt at the top because you want that full glute contraction. Yeah, sure, I can put on more weight on this and not lock out the weight like I want to lock out. But I think this exercise for me is about activation of the glutes. It's not so much loading the glutes as much as I can. I think, you know, maybe this is something that contributed to me having a 260 kilo deadlift the other day. Or was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I don't know. I'm doing a whole bunch of things right now, which I'm kind of struggling to kind of map out what's responsible for what. But this is kind of how my life is. It's not optimal. This is why I can't do programs. This is just how my life is. There's just so much irregularity. And for me to put some sort of rigid programming on top is just impossible because what if I'm required to do something really impressive today and yet I'm going into a night shift? What does that mean? How do I go into that? It's very, very hard. It's I don't know. This is where I get really attracted to this auto regulation business because it allows me to say to myself, it's okay, man. It's okay. You know, your life, your nursing life, your family life comes before training. And so you got to take care of business. You got to put food on the table. I am not a professional athlete. Therefore, I can't have my program dictate how I'm going to live my life. It's just, I can't do that. And so this thing that I'm doing here, that I'm showing you guys, that I'm documenting on this platform, is basically me showing you guys how somebody that has a nursing shift work roster come before training. And that's kind of how it is. So, you know, for some of you guys, which I know many of you guys also have full-time work, like I guess 99% of us do that, only less than 1% I think are professional freaking athletes. Most of us have other things to worry about, right? But I want to tell you that don't give yourself an excuse that, oh, I've got a night shift, I can't do anything. No, man, just do it. Strength is a skill. Movement is a skill. And so today I did those wide stand squats and I feel good. I felt like I challenged my body in a way that's not going to tax me too much. So there's not going to be a lot of muscular fatigue because the overall intensity wasn't crazy. I kept the volume down. I kept the exercise kind of fun. So I was mentally excited to try wide stand squats. And that's basically the session. There's no excuses. Absolutely no excuses. No matter what's happening in your life, man, you can put a bar on your back and you can do some squats. And nobody can tell me that is not more beneficial than rest. Absolutely inactivity. Inactivity for me is inexcusable. I think inactivity is bad. And some people will say, well, do I need to put a bar on my back? You certainly don't, man. You can go for a walk. That's fine. I don't like walking. I like squatting. If I could, I would squat every single day to freaking 90% 5x5. But I can't. So I'll do the bar. That's kind of how I look at these things. And ever since Paulus Tolman said strength is a skill, man, that's how I think about it. Every single day is a chance for you to practice your piano. Your piano is the barbell. That's how I look at it. And it might not be palpable, you know, evidence of this working. Deep down, my philosophy tells me that it's beneficial. It's kind of like Steph Curry shooting free throws. Why should you shoot free throws when you are not fatigued, going to the line with an elevated heart rate, elevated a breathing rate, respiration rate? Why are you going to the line? Because that's not game-like situation. He's practicing his skill, honing his craft. That's how I think about it. And that's what today was. Simply just honing my craft, shooting some free throws. Mackie Benedicto, appreciate you, man. You now join, it feels like an army of people that are supporting this crazy guy squat every day at the end of the earth in his garage and in the gyms now. Means a lot. It means a lot to have people come on every single day and send messages of support and tell me how much I've impacted that life. Honestly, man, like some of the messages that I get, it's almost like an out-of-body experience, man. Like I never knew, never really knew that the effect of this thing is going to be like this, man. I never thought I was anything special. It's just remarkable to me that somebody making videos about his passion can touch people like this. But it's an incredible thing. I just want to let you guys know that these emotions that I feel on a daily basis, they're not getting old. It's not robots watching me, it's people. And people have lives and their own problems. And so when you guys message me to say that I've impacted your life in a positive way in whatever, capacity, man, that's so uplifting for me. Because above all of this shit, bars and plates and records and how many subscribers, YouTube play buttons, all this shit is secondary, man. We are people at the end of the day, and when you see what's happening in the world, man, it's just a incredible feeling to know that I am making a positive impact on somebody. And that to me is by far the most impressive thing to me and the most touching thing to me. And so I appreciate you guys. I always say it, man, but I honestly really, really do. You guys impact me positively as well, which is a crazy thing. It's like a win-win scenario. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.